With Rodeo, Travis Scott brought the art of storytelling to a cohesive trap album for the first time, taking us through the journey of how Jack turned Scott, how the hard-working, passionate, and perfectionist producer who had developed a murky, dark sound while working for artists from Kanye to Rihanna grew out of the South to represent it to the world as he came face to face with his future as a global superstar and icon. In 2015, he took us to the rodeo. In 2018, he took us to the closed-down Houston amusement park from his childhood with Astroworld, and now he's taking us way back in time to Circus Maximus, the ancient Roman stadium famous for its chariot races. The film and its themes are part of this album's larger mission to travel through both the modern world and history, the 5 different countries that he shot the film in: Iceland, Denmark, France, Nigeria, Italy, and the site of his first listening party in my home country, Egypt, as well as ancient civilizations and societies, all just to search for the meaning of utopia. A concept that his travels have shown him is not one specific place, but instead is a state of mind that exists today, not in some far out future, but in our present, in everyday people and their day-to-day perception of reality. But for Travis, utopia isn't as simple as a perfect problem-free life. Every utopia can just as easily be someone's dystopia. On promotional billboards, he's asked, is it in the liquor store? Is it at the bank? Places where people think they'll find their happiness, but as we know, it's never that simple. It's all about perspective, like for the man on the album cover shot by South African photographer Peter Hugo. The photo Thompson, taken in Asaba, Nigeria, where his tattered clothes suggest that he's been through hell and back, but he holds the earnings from his struggles close to his heart. There's a utopia in the achievement of one's goals, no matter what it took to get there. In this collection of photos called Nollywood, Hugo's goal was to show that these fictional monsters that he's created look right at home in their equally monstrous environments. Kind of like how many outside observers feel about the music industry, which explains these AI-generated recreations of Hugo's Thompson that correspond to different rappers. It's like Travis's way of telling us they've also been through a lot that we'll never know about, but that process made their success that much more meaningful. They found utopia in that process. A subject of Hugo's photos even said this about Nollywood: there are many Nigerians who have refused to buy into the culture of watching Nollywood movies because of the strong presence of rituals and juju. Sound familiar? You could probably guess Travis relates to having people feel this way about his art and wants us to see that what can look like a dystopia from the outside looking in can actually be a utopia for the people experiencing it with the right perspective. So let's take a look at how Travis takes us through this journey in the album itself, building on this idea of our perspective versus Travis's life of fame from the outside looking in. Seeing his career path, his controversies, his identity as a spectacle. It would be wrong to look at this album without the context of when Travis last made headlines, for the tragedy at his 3rd Astroworld Festival. And the public outrage and scrutiny about Travis's every move afterwards has ever since raised the stakes and given him a lot less room for mistakes. In Schizo, we're immediately thrust into a world of paranoia, a reflection of Travis's state of mind under that scrutiny. The 6-minute track is punctuated with constant beat switches, stuttering, and erratic flows, simulating the feeling of a late night of paranoid racing thoughts, a haunting experience that he feels is even closer after his close friend and fellow artist Young Thug's incarceration, which explains his feature on the song, which he references on the song Meltdown when he acknowledges how much that imprisonment raises the stakes for all artists' freedom. The lyrics even reference another artist whose career is similarly destroyed from public scrutiny in the line where he supports Kanye West's 2024 United States presidential campaign. The song's a perfect example of this back and forth between dystopia and utopia. Travis is falling into a void of darkness on the cover that on one hand could represent his fall into paranoia and this feeling of being dehumanized. On Circus Maximus, Travis and The Weeknd are in conversation with the fans, reminding us that they're real breathing people and not just spectacles to watch the downfall of. Travis asks, are these the front row seats you wanted? The Weeknd asks the girl he's with if she even cares about his life or if she just sees him as a ticket to fame. In the modern day, the same audience of the ancient Circus Maximus, who would watch people put their life on the line for sport, are watching these artists with the same lack of humanity for them. On Parasail, we find a glimmer of hope. The idea of falling on the album cover is not just about falling due to past mistakes, but it's also about falling into freedom. Parasailing itself is like a slow, peaceful fall, and for Travis it's one where he gets to look back at his past, his memories and mistakes, with peace and acceptance for them. It's also our experience of listening to the album, flying through and watching all the worlds inside of Travis's mind. Through this ride, Young Lean gives us a little peek into that music industry behind the scenes that seems so dystopian to us. With the line, "Success comes so easy for you, they're waiting behind the call," highlighting the watchful eyes of the music industry and how much success seems to rely on people behind the scenes who we sometimes think are choosing and planting our celebrities in ways that we know nothing about. But Travis glides past dystopian moments like these to find the peace that lies when you get past it, a sentiment that's echoed by Dave Chappelle's lines, "I fall, I get up." They come over and over again at the start when he's stuck stuck in that loop of falling until he forgives himself at the end and chooses to move forward with love as his priority. Travis suggests that true freedom comes from liberating oneself from the pressure of past mistakes, and instead allowing oneself to be guided by the love of those we care about. Love versus vice is a theme here, and that's that back and forth between utopia and dystopia. Travis falls for false utopias like the twins hopping off of jet skis, and is convinced that he's brought this girl into utopia in his hotel room. The latter song is even called Sirens, a nod to the ancient Greek human-like creatures with alluring voices that are a symbol for the dangerous temptation of lust. Sonically, this album is Travis Scott's Yeezus, but thematically, it's more like his Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. A feeling I especially got from the closer, Till Further Notice, where 21 calls back advice from his mom on putting himself first, like Kendrick's I Choose Me, I'm Sorry on the closing track of his album, Mirror. In both James Blake's opening refrain and Kendrick's lyrics on that song, we get this feeling of the artist feeling like they're being used for their entertainment value, and if they don't keep it up, they could get turned on or forgotten about just as quick. Travis is making it clear to us that he's found his utopia just like Thompson, and whatever we perceive it to be from the outside looking in doesn't matter. It's not nearly as important as paragliding through this album, and then through our lives, and finding that utopia for ourselves.
Case I don't do try fly to the moon. Looking like who is he? Gunning on one of he moves like me. Yeah, the phones are moving fleet. So choppers like who is security?